This is Jocko Podcast number 107 with Echo Charles and me, Jocko Willink. Good evening, Echo.
Good evening.
So, the Battle of Idrang Valley was over for now, and we just spent 2 podcasts talking about it. And one of the things that you forget sometimes about the military is that the machine rolls on. Mm-hmm. The machine rolls on. There's work to do, and it doesn't matter what you've been through or what you experienced or how many men or friends or leaders you lost. The machine is going to roll on. There's still work to do. At least it's going to try and roll on. And that means normal things are going to continue to happen, meaning that people are going to get reassigned, people are going to leave the army, people are going to retire, people are going to transfer. You don't stay together. You don't stay together with these guys that you just went through whatever you went through with. And as much as you might feel like a family with that group of guys, you're not going to get treated like a family in the military. It's the machine is going to roll on. And with that in mind, to close out the book, We Were Soldiers Once and Young, that again was covered in podcast 105 and 106. I'm going to read one more passage from that book. And here we go, back to the book. Every morning during those final bittersweet days of my command of the 1st Battalion, 7th Cavalry, Sergeant Major Plumley would appear with a group of men bound for the airfield and the plane that would take them home for discharge. Specialist 4 Pat Selleck of the recon platoon says, Colonel Moore shook our hands and said, "Thank you," and go back home. I was the second or third guy he spoke to, and he had tears in his eyes. I remember what he said. "I see that you're married. You have a wedding ring on. Just go home, pick up the pieces, and start your life all over again." And basically, that's what I did. I came home to a wonderful wife, tried to readjust, did a decent job at it. I did what Colonel Moore said. I tried to put the war behind me. I served. I did my job. I came home. I didn't ask for anything. No fanfare, no parades. I went back to work, back to school, and did my best. He might be a general, but he's still Colonel Moore to me. If it wasn't for him and all his knowledge and training, I don't think any of us would have survived the Idrang Valley. On Tuesday, November 23rd, the day came for me to turn over command. For the change of command, I requested a full battalion formation with officers front and center, the division band trooping the line, honors to the reviewing officer and colors, and then pass in review, reminiscent of our weekly retreat parades back at Fort Benning. I requested that Captain DeDurick's Bravo Company, 2nd Battalion, 7th Cavalry, and Lieutenant Sisson's platoon of Alpha Company, 2nd of the 7th, be included in the parade of 1st Battalion, 7th Cavalry in token of the fact that they fought bravely alongside us in the battle at X-Ray. And so it was. The band played Colonel Bogey and the Washington Post March and Gary Owen. General Kennard pinned on my Eagles, and I spoke briefly and with deep emotion. Spec 4 Ray Turner of Alpha Company 1st Battalion said, "We stood in formation, with some units hardly having enough men to form up. Colonel Hal Moore spoke to us and he cried. At that moment, he could have led us back into the Idrang. We were soldiers. We were fighting men, and those of us who were left had the utmost love and respect for our colonel and for one another. As I reflect on those 3 days in November, I remember many heroes, but no cowards. I learned what value life really had. We all lost friends, but the bravery they showed on the battlefield will live forever.